Everybody, Cameron with Audi C7 Owners, and this is an update video. It's been a while since I've given you guys anything, especially any updates on the car since we've done the engine swap. So that's what this video is all about. I'm going to go over where we are in regards to the engine, how it's performing, what we're looking at there, and just talk to you about what's going on or has been going on here recently that's kind of kept me away from the channel and giving you guys updates. So first thing, I want to say thank you to everybody who's checked up. A lot of people have messaged me, but hey, I haven't seen any posts. What's going on? Really appreciate you guys checking in. It means a lot to know y'all are thinking about me. But nothing crazy has been going on that's kept me away. I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, something's wrong. Something went bad with the engine since he installed it because he hasn't talked about it. And no, we've had some hiccups. Get into that in a moment. Nothing catastrophic or anything like that, just mainly time consuming. But yeah, so finished the engine install and whatnot a few months ago. Did the break-in procedure exactly to spec from what Alex at AM Tune told me to do. No issues, you know, was running great. And I was like to the T on how I'm gonna do it because it was terrifying. I can't give you guys like anything to compare the level of anxiety of starting this thing up for the first time and driving it, especially getting into boost for the first time. It was so nerve-wracking. You can ask Alex and Matt from Jackal, like how many times I called. I was like, am I good to do this? Is this safe? Blah, blah, blah. So, but anyways, did a couple of road trips with it. Everything was good. Found some things with the car that definitely need to be addressed. Brake rotors going to be coming up soon. I've got the S6 brake rotors on there. They were used when I put them on there. I'm going to have to upgrade those. But the one thing that I noticed when pulling the engine and subframe out and putting it back in, every single one of my 034 street density control arms are shot. Lower, front and rear, upper, both of them. All the bushings are absolutely shot. So I bought these before they were offering the lifetime guarantee on it anyway, so I'll be having to swap those out sometime soon. When we did the engine swap, obviously my engine mounts, one of those had failed, one of them was good, so I did get one of those replaced with FCP Euro's lifetime warranty, which was cool. But so anyways, that all has to be addressed, and I want to address that and the brakes before I really start throwing tons of power and going out for glory runs on this thing, because you know, the more you do that, the more it's going to wear things down quicker. If you guys aren't aware, if your engine mounts are bad or if your control arms are bad and you really push it, that extra movement will in turn affect the other one. So I want to get all that stuff done. But we have had an issue when we did some data logging. We noticed that the Bank One camshaft wasn't super happy. Now, obviously, we know Alex timed this correctly, so it was a little bit of a mystery. We're like, well, what's going on? Everything's brand new on this engine. Why would that, you know, be the issue? And so in a lot of research and talking with people like Jake from JHM and other people who have a lot of really intense knowledge on these engines, we narrowed it down to the camshaft adjusters or the cam phasers. And if you're not sure what those are, hopefully I have a picture of them here, but they're what adjust the variable timing on your engines. And we're going to talk about this stuff, and this is out of my league of expertise, so I'm going to do my best. Feel free to chat in the comments below about specifics and correct me if I'm wrong on anything that I say. But according to the data logs, it seems that that is likely our culprit, because that's the only thing on the timing of this engine that was not replaced. That's my fault. I didn't even think about it because I've never heard of these going bad. You don't ever hear anybody in the forums talking specifically about the cam phasers or the cam adjusters. The reason I think that is because I think it flies under the radar. I think there are actually a whole lot more cars that have issues with their OEM cam adjusters, but the issue is when they start having those issues and they see timing issues either via data log or they start hearing their chains because of the cam tensioners going bad, usually they go to a shop and the shop gives them this big bill and people are like, okay, go ahead and knock it done, because most people aren't doing this job at home, and those get replaced anyways. So I think that there probably has been a lot of other vehicles with the 3.0T supercharged engine with bad cam adjusters, and they just get swapped out with everything else when they find out that they have bad cam tensioners, and they don't even think about it. With me, I replaced everything except for the adjusters, and we're still having an issue on the Bank One camshaft. Now, keep in mind, this is not my OEM engine, right? I got this one from Michael Soignet. But so this engine had a little over 200,000 miles on it. And so those cam adjusters here are pretty old. I should have replaced them. They're $700 a piece OEM, but I was able to source a couple of them from Febby, the Febby brand, which good brand to go with from everybody I know who's in the industry and knows those parts, because I couldn't pinpoint who made the OEM ones, but Febby's got a great track record on their parts, and so I ordered two of those. It's going to cost me right around $500 for those, and then me and Michael Soignet are going to replace those with the engine in the car. The only reason we're going to be able to do that is because I don't have any catalytic converters in the back. I've got the long tube headers, and I don't have my SAI, secondary air intake system, installed. So everything's nice and open back there for our upper timing cover. So we should be able to do it ourselves. So yeah, so that's the issue. That's the only reason I haven't been pushing it, because I wanted to replace that. I don't want any of the damage, but there's one other issue. I kept hearing the sound that sounded like chain rattle, and I was like, there's no way, it can't be. I replaced all that with brand new parts, good parts. There's no way there's there's no way there's chain rattle coming from it. But when you're in the car, things are deceiving because of the firewall, and it sounded like chain rattle, but never happened on cold start. Never happened under idle. It was only when I started getting the gas, I'd hear this sound that sounded like chain rattle, but it wasn't through the entire rev band. It was only certain RPMs, and it was louder and quieter at times. So I got a little video here, and I'm gonna play it. There's a constant ticking, like a tit. That's my evap solenoid, and with the microphone, it's amplified. I do think I need to replace it. It's pretty, like that one's a used one as well. But you're gonna hear that, and that's a constant sound, a constant volume the whole time. That's not the sound. You're gonna hear this kind of knocking, when I say knocking, not like engine knock, but like, I don't know, like rocks in a hard plastic cup kind of knocking. You're gonna hear it kind of elevate on certain times. I'll try and isolate the audio to where you can really hear it, but it's coming from the front of the engine. And I didn't realize that till my buddy Tyler Hayes, AKA Void Carbon, a lot of you guys don't know who he is. He was over doing some work on his car in my garage, and I said, hey, listen to my engine with the hood up, because I can't do that myself. I need to pinpoint where the sound's coming from. I think it's the chain tensioners. Take a listen. And so we opened the hood, and he stood in the front, and he goes, no, dude, that's your pulley. I was like, no, that's impossible. It's, you know, it's a brand new pulley. I installed it. It's grip tech. Like, there's no way it could be that pulley. I know it's not the crank pulley either. He's like, it's coming from the front of the engine. I was like, come over here, give this car some gas. And I stood in the front, and he was absolutely correct. That sound was coming from the front of the engine. We've isolated it. Something inside my OEM supercharger is bad. Something's wrong. And the sound is absolutely coming from the front. In the snout area, I talked with Marshall Rolls from Vast AZ, and he was talking about the bearings in the front of the supercharger in the snout, that sometimes those do go bad, and if they do, they're pretty much unserviceable. So I hooked up a microphone. I'm gonna play that video now for you guys so you can listen to it. So as you can see, that's an unusual sound. And you know, apart from the cam adjuster issue, I don't really want to go full send with a potentially bad supercharger part. You know, that's just not smart. I've got a spare supercharger torn down to parts over here that I can put back together, but what I'm gonna do first, Tyler Hayes has a spare supercharger sitting around. Probably gonna throw that on here since it's all together. I'm gonna put it on here, make sure that sound goes away and isolate that issue. Obviously if we swap it and we still hear that noise, we're gonna have to further diagnose it, but I've gotten on there with the screwdriver trick, put a microphone up there, multiple people listen to it. Sounds like it's coming from the supercharger. So that's another small bit of a hiccup, because once we get the engine sorted with the timing issue and the cam adjuster issue, I really wanna push this on the OEM supercharger. One, just to get a nice base log of what we can do with the upgraded engine. On the supercharger, I need to add my water meth kit from Snow Performance. Hadn't had a chance to put that on here because of these other preceding issues. So that's where I'm at with the engine. Once again, nothing massively wrong or huge. The engine's been great, running wonderfully. No burning smoke, no real issues other than this as it is. So I am really happy with it so far. Not happy with my exhaust. It sounds like Rasp City right now, just because I've been testing mid-pipe options with Canadian Auto Performance. I have their catted mid-pipes on it right now, and with my setup, long tube headers, catted mid-pipes, OEM mid-muffler, and generic rear mufflers, it does not sound good at all. They are revamping their catted mid-pipes, and they're doing a different design in hopes of helping that, but they also sent me a set of large resonator mid-pipes that they're not sure if fits on a C7, so I'm going to test fit those. And I also ended up getting a MagnaFlow 11386 or 11385, whichever one from my car, to replace the mid muffler with, because that's a magic kill button for RASP. It doesn't last forever, but at the same time, I'm just done dealing with RASP. But so yeah, working on the exhaust as well. You guys know how these cars go with that. But in any case, I'll keep you guys updated on that. Where have I been the past few months? Not super active really anywhere. If you message me, you know I talk on messages a lot in the background. But In the wake of 034 putting out their hit piece on Jackal and that entire drama that dominated all the 3OT groups for a very long time, you know, that sucked. Everybody was involved in that. It just was ridiculous. And my personal feelings alone on it, after it all kind of settled, I was just like, you know what? Everyone needs to take a break. And personally, me, I had a lot of other stuff going on in my personal life. I was like, I'm going to just back off a little bit here and focus on some other things, which I did. October's a big month for me because I always make crazy Halloween decorations with my son. And I might even put a little picture up here of what we made. I make a Halloween prop from scratch every year. This one was amazing. It's my favorite so far. Did it all in the garage. So the garage was completely just destroyed with me making stuff. So the entire month of October did that. Well, I should say actually the most of September I did that going into October, and then October just busy with family stuff. Obviously Hurricane Helene made landfall in Florida and went straight up to the mountains of North Carolina. And if you guys don't know, I am from North Carolina. I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, but my family, they moved to the mountains a few years ago, and my parents actually live in Green Mountain, which is in Yancey County, right outside of Burnsville, North Carolina. And their area was the hardest hit area of any of the path of Hurricane Helene. Didn't get to talk to them for about 5 or 6 days after the storm hit, which my parents are ultra prepared. Like my dad and my mom and I, we've all gone through probably a total collective of over 40 tropical storms of varying degrees between tropical storms and hurricanes. We know what we're doing. They know what they're doing. They have enough food stored up there to last a year, generator, whole 9 yards, but still didn't get to hear from them for about 5 days. Finally got in touch with them. They were great, but literally everything around them is just destroyed. There was a place on 60 Minutes here this past week, a 60-minute episode aired, and the places that they interviewed were 150 yards down the road from my parents' house. These people lost everything, but very fortunate that my family's okay. In the wake of that, though, if you guys paid attention to my other socials, I did a fundraiser to raise funds to get some medical supplies out to the mountains of North Carolina. Huge shout out to a company called Rescue Essentials located in Leland, North Carolina, right outside of Wilmington. They're a massive medical and trauma supply production or a distribution warehouse. They have their own products and everything, and I've worked with them in the past. I used to teach handgun training, and I was really big on medical when I was doing that for people. Held some classes, and they would work with me. So I reached out to them and I said, hey, I want to get med kits and anything else I can out there. Are you guys willing to help me? And they immediately like, yes, absolutely. Let us know what you want. We're going to make a massive donation and we'll give you everything at cost. Do your GoFundMe. And in just, I think less than a week, we raised right at $9,000. So you guys contributed to that. My friends and family contributed to that. Crazy random strangers. Huge shout out to my sponsors, TGK, Merc Racing, Jackal Motorsports, and Rova Motor Oil. They all, in total, between all of them, donated $1,600, if not a little bit more. Thank you guys so much. And they were the ones that jumped in it in the very beginning, which I think really kickstarted that GoFundMe. So I ended up buying a little over $8,000 worth of stuff from Rescue Essentials. They actually stopped their production line and made an entire custom kit dedicated to what the people in the mountains of North Carolina needed. And we had that all made up, and I drove it up there myself. I rented a trailer, hooked it up, took it all up there along with a donation from a friend of mine. They got 200 brand new winter coats because these people are going to need winter supplies. The mountains get cold early. They've already seen their first freeze. And I drove that up there and delivered it directly to the people that live and work in the county that distribute it. It didn't go to anyone where it could possibly be taken somewhere else. I made sure it went to people that were going to get it to the people in need in these communities. So thank you guys so much. Couldn't have done it without you. I still have right at $800 left over from that fundraiser. I'm going to hopefully donate that directly to something that can help the children of the area, especially with Christmas coming up. Hopefully direct it to something that helps them. So thank you guys so much for all that. So where are we now? I've got to convince Michael Soigné to dedicate a weekend to come down here and help me replace the cam adjuster on the engine. We should be able to knock it out hopefully in this garage and with the engine in the car. That hopefully we'll be able to do it. I know he's done it in his car a couple times, so I'm going to do anything I can to get him down here and knock that out sometime soon. And once that's done, and I sort the supercharger issue out, we should be ready to really start to get into testing on this. And I hate that it's taken me so long. I haven't uploaded any of the engine swap videos because I knew as soon as I did, people are gonna be like, okay, where's the results? One thing to understand with the built engine, compression is just a half point lower. So a lot of people have this misconception that putting a built engine with the OEM supercharger, you'll just be able to just turn up the boost, so to speak, and just throw everything at it and it'll be way more powerful, way faster. That's not the case, so don't anybody have that expectation. You build the engines on these cars so that you can add a larger power adder, and eventually that's what I want to do. Plans are still the same, still hoping to put the Merc Racing MRI 1900 on here and do testing for that on a built engine with the built lower end, because according to Jackal, where they've gone to, their biggest restriction has been the lower end, with a stock lower end. So hopefully we'll be able to really get some good numbers from that. And once that's done, I will hopefully have enough money to save to send the car back down to Alex with AM Tuned and get his bespoke custom turbo kit. So we would do a turbo conversion on this car. That would be my goal, my dream. Remember, everything I do from this channel and on this channel is from just YouTube revenue. I don't take any of my personal money and put it into the car, other than, you know, maintenance, like the engine rebuild and everything was done with like personal savings. But yeah, if I go to my wife like, hey, I want to spend $8 grand on a turbo kit, she would just laugh in my face. So yeah, gonna do my best to save up for that, as well as knock out my other maintenance issues. But I'm really, really excited about it. I cannot wait to see what this thing's done, and especially seeing, you know, Josh Marshall, he just set the A6, the C7 A6 world record for the 3OT. He just ran a 10.4 with a Magnuson 1720. I think it's 1720, 17.4, whatever. With the Maggie, he just set the world record for C7 A6 3OT cars at 10.4. Which, congratulations to Josh Marshall. That's a huge achievement. That record has been standing. I think Shane Horning's owned that record for many, many years. So congrats to him on that one. But yeah, other things, if you're just wanting some general knowledge about the community, C7 wise, C7.5 cars with the CREC, the CREC engine, which is the one that has the OEM multi-port injection. If you're not paying attention to Jackal, you need to. They have cracked the code. They've found a way to unlock being able to run E85. I believe fully 85 with dual pulley and a throttle body, which that's been a hang up. The fueling, I think they're working with LDOC's low pressure fuel pump fueling system, and they've had great success with it. I think the CREC engines, especially overseas where those engines come, and the S4s and S5s are going to be very desirable here very, very shortly, because they have kind of cracked that code and have really opened up a whole other level to doing that. There's lots of stuff going on everywhere else. I know Vast AC is really pushing the platform too. It's exciting seeing his stuff. I mean, his car is an absolute bullet. And you know, people talk about factory freaks like Dave Panziotti, potentially Marshall Rolls, even like F-Dot. There's some of these cars that are just absurdly fast doing the same modifications, but a lot of people have to keep in mind it all comes down to fine-tuning your car and optimizing everything for your setup. You can't just expect to throw what I have or anybody else has on their car who's successful with it and have the same results. You need to understand the cooling, you need to understand the airflow, you understand the fueling, and how they all work together to maximize and an optimized car. So yeah. Can't really think of anything else right now. I'm trying not to drag this out. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Having told you guys what's going on with here, I'm going to start working on getting the engine removal video finished. I've got most of it done. I just need to tidy it up and get it out there, and then I'll start working on getting the engine swap videos out to show you what we went through with that process, because it was an interesting process. But anyways, thank you guys for the continued support. Hopefully I have some other DIYs coming up for you guys here shortly, and I will catch you guys on the next video.